Welcome to Business News and Other Shit.
I'm your host, Amer Abdullah. Thanks for listening in, y'all. Let's have some fun today. Woo! Yeah, baby. That was the woo of Ted Reilly. What's up, Ted?
How's it going, man?
Yeah, man. Thanks for being on the show with us again today.
Good to be back.
It's great. Great. Skyler, the man.
Whoop also.
Higley.
Woo.
Woo. What's up, Skyler?
Well, I'm great. I'm wonderful. I'm fantastic.
It's great that you're great.
It is great that I'm great. And it's great that you think that it's great that I'm great.
Great. Our millennial gangsters, a.k.a. investment posse of business news and other shit, Kareem and Yahya.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
We were hoping for a little, same talk, same time action.
Choreographed.
Yeah. Could we get a little bit of that?
What's up?
Yeah. Even when you try, you can't freaking do it.
They've been working on that for a couple weeks.
They literally have.
Yeah, we actually have. We haven't gotten much better, but,
What's up, investment posse?
Not much. What about you?
You guys been making some money the last couple weeks?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Cool. That's what we do here at Business News and Other Shit. We make money, and if you're not careful, we might bust a market cap on your ass.
Whoa.
Hey, now.
Market cap in that ass. I don't know what
on it.
Market cap is.
Market cap? What is market cap? Market capitalization is the, according to the stock, a company's value.
Oh, shit. We're learning already?
Take notes, baby.
All right.
Take notes. Skyler,
Yeah.
is there something we can promote for you by chance? Maybe a show you have coming up in the month of April, for example.
Yeah. So April 19th is the Young Hustle show at the Laugh Factory. 3-year anniversary. Show turns 3 years old. Scott can walk and talk now.
Proven.
3-year-olds talk. Yeah, it's true. Basic motor skills. Yeah, and it's going to be a very special time. We're excited about the show because we, as comedians, and the show itself has grown a lot in the last 3 years.
Yep.
Started in a Puerto Rican attic of a restaurant, not just a family. And now it's at the Laugh Factory. And so, yeah, to the listener, come there.
What time? April 19th.
Oh, 10 p.m.
Nice. 10 p.m.
Central Standard Time. Don't know why you're using a different time if you live in Chicago.
If they wanted to get free tickets, could they hit you up?
Yeah, free tickets are available on the interwebs, or they can also just hit me up directly on my Instagram or Twitter.
Which are?
Skyler_Higley.
Boom. There we go.
Yeah.
Go to
I
that
want to
show,
know
y'all.
what makes an addict Puerto Rican.
Yeah, well, it's mostly just really loud. Racist joke. That was not okay. No, it was just a Puerto Rican restaurant.
At least you didn't say, like, it's an unfunded hurricane that's hit the attic or something like that.
Oh, no, I would never be that dark and racist at the same time.
Leave that to me.
Yeah.
That was a shout out to Trump. Please help, and Congress. Please help Puerto Rico, for God's sakes. So that's cool. Young Hustle Show, baby.
Yeah.
10 p.m., April 19th. That's a Friday.
Yeah. Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, on one of your recent shows, Chris Redd from SNL was on the Young Hustle Show.
Yeah, Chris Redd came through.
Nice.
And did some time, and we've we've had Roy Wood Jr. on there before.
Oh, nice.
I was trying to think of another comic. Yeah.
That's great, baby.
So you never know who's
What
gonna
comes out of a
pop up.
Puerto Rican attic. Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Roy,
Puerto Ricans are certainly invited to this show. I'm sorry to all my Puerto Rican brethren. Please come. We love you so much. We are sorry about the hurricane.
boom.
It wasn't our fault, but I mean, it was
The aftermath was our fault.
It was God was mad at us. It was America. Yeah, it was our fault. I get it.
Ted, what about you? Chicago Media Angels. You are the executive director of an awesome media company here that's funding TV and movies. How can people learn more about CMA?
You can always check out ChicagoMediaAngels.com. But the best thing they could do is go watch some of our movies that have been released. We just released another movie 2 weeks ago, 30 Miles from Nowhere. Great thriller. Watch it this weekend. Available on demand everywhere. Been ranked, I think, Amazon's top thriller the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Or one of them somehow. There's a whole bunch of qualifiers that go on that, but I'm just that's what I remember.
I want to say Amazon's top thriller up until you knocked it out was Jeff Bezos' divorce.
Boom.
Boom. He got off kind of light. $35 bill.
Yeah.
He gets to keep the Washington Post.
Yeah, and he kept all her voting rights. Is really the big thing.
Yeah, she's not in charge.
Yeah,
Oh.
he basically.
After you've got $35 billion, like, what ground do you have to stand on to say I really need more?
No.
For her, you mean?
Yeah, I mean $35
Whoa,
billion.
whoa, wait. I'm looking at it completely differently, which is, I don't believe Jeff Bezos would have made all that money without her by his side.
Fair point.
Okay, that's what I believe. And so that's why the law states 50-50, as far as I understand. And she did not get 50-50. Mackenzie was like, you know what, Jeff? I'll take a third, you take 2/3, call it a day. Shocked me that she said that. I don't know how they arrived at that.
I don't know how they got there either. I mean, there's a big function of you can't just divide Jeff Bezos' outstanding stock in half and give half of that to her because it's not like if Jeff Bezos wants to liquidate his position in Amazon tomorrow, the stock's going to be worth what the stock price is.
Say that one more time.
If Jeff Bezos, who I believe before divorce owned 16% of Amazon stock, whose market cap total valuation was close to like $1 trillion.
Yep.
And so if one guy wants to go sell 16% of $1 trillion company or $160 billion of stock tomorrow so that he can cut a check for $80 billion to his wife, the stock price is going to rapidly decline.
Yes.
And it pretty soon won't be worth $1 trillion. The market cap will drop from $1 trillion to like $500 billion, and that $160 billion will look more like $80 billion. And so it's not like
She
he could
would
have
then be
just
shooting
given her
herself.
half the money.
Right. Well, I mean, but she could get it obviously without selling that. I presume she can get it in shares. Instead of looking at it in terms of dollars, looking at it in terms of number of shares. That's what I would have expected. It didn't happen. So
To be fair, I think when he set up, and again, we're getting probably into minutia that people don't care about, but I think when he set up the company, he probably there's an executive role that means it's kind of not like you own it all. But she's getting $35 billion. It's pretty good.
it's fantastic.
And she's
No
like
complaints.
free and clear liquid. I think she gets to just go with that. She doesn't have to like worry about selling it or.
Oh, it's cash.
I don't know how to. I'm sure
Yeah.
some combination of stuff.
Maybe something. Right.
But people give her a loan.
Have fun with that money, Mackenzie. Let's see what you can.
They
But not
can't-
as
you
much
can't-
fun as you could have watching the movies of Chicago Media Angels.
That's right.
Great at
So much
promo.
more fun.
Great at promo.
So much more fun. So much more fun.
That's the real Amazon thriller now. It's 30 Miles from Nowhere.
30 Miles from Nowhere is good. You can also watch Chasing the Blues
Yep.
or When Jeff Tried to Save the World. All great.
Oh, I love that one.
That's a good one. Yeah, thank you.
Those are all can be watched on
Those
iTunes.
are all on
You can
demand
buy
right
them
now.
on
They're
demand.
coming up towards the end of their on-demand window, and pretty soon they'll end up on TV someplace. But and then we released a movie last month. We premiered a movie at South by Southwest called "Come as You Are."
Woo!
I've heard of that.
Yeah,
Who is in it?
It's got Gabby Sidibe, Janine Garofalo, Grant Rosenmeyer, Hayden Zito, Ravi Patel. Great movie.
Yep.
We're still working to figure out the domestic distribution, but think more like summer, fall that'll be available to the peeps. Couple more festivals there first, but yeah, that's Chicago Media Angels.
I have seen that movie, by the way. Fantastic movie. So all the positive.
Really proud of it.
Yes, absolutely. You should be. All the positive reviews from Variety and other folks on the web, well justified.
100% on Rotten Tomatoes today, guys.
Woo!
Nice.
There you go. Watch that movie. Come
We'll
as
see
you
how
are
long
when
that
it comes out.
lasts. Yeah.
Cool. Let's jump into this mother. The markets. We are up 1% this week on the markets after being up 2.5% last week and having a banner quarter last week. I mean, we're close to all-time highs. All-time, like record highs on the stock market. Whether you look at the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ, all-time highs. I think the all-time high is 26,828. So we're within spitting distance, probably like 500 points. Today, the jobs report came out this morning. Did you see that, Ted?
I heard headlines.
Plus 196,000 jobs in America were created in the month of March. So this jobs machine that you call America keeps pumping out more jobs.
Lowest recorded unemployment rate, or
Is that right? It's 3.8%.
Very low.
Is that the lowest recorded? It might be.
There was some aspect of the survey, and I didn't look into the details, that was a all-time.
I mean, those are the headlines, right? What I think people need to just remember is we didn't get here by accident, right? Something called quantitative easing, after we lowered interest rates all the way to zero, helped basically create what we're experiencing right now. It was probably the biggest factor is that the Federal Reserve Bank decided to not only lower interest rates to zero, making student loans, credit card loans, car loans, house loans, most importantly, all of them really, really cheap. And the Federal Reserve did something called quantitative easing, which everyone threw their arms up in because it was kind of like printing cash. And everyone worried about inflation, where they printed.
And by kinda, you mean exactly.
Pretty much. $4 trillion was put into the economy, which is like the same as printing cash.
Nice.
Maybe you didn't go to Skyler or Kareem's pocket.
Nope. Definitely did not see much.
You sure? Have you checked your bank account lately?
You know what? I haven't. You know, maybe it's all quantitative eased in.
I checked it. I didn't get anything.
Oh, you checked it? Okay, you didn't. That's because your name's Yahya. That's why I didn't give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they want to quantitative ease him out of this country. Mm-hmm. Racist.
That's right.
But
They've
economic.
already tried.
What do we do? This is my TED Talk about why maybe we should like Donald Trump.
Who, by the way, today said, so by the way, after the Fed, the reminder is that
this
we
was
got
a big
here.
deal. I think you should put in context this quantitative easing thing was like a big, crazy idea that had never happened before.
Yep.
For the Fed to be like, well, we're just going to print $4 trillion. Like that was a unprecedented thing for them to do. And then there was like in like 2009, 2010, people were like, all right, well that we didn't like explode, the world didn't end, but like how are we going to get out of this? And it's literally been a 10-year thing for the Fed to try to what they've called quantitative tightening.
Yep.
Try to get out of this. They've tried to sell down this
Unwind.
$4 trillion. And they've sold like half of it. They've got like $2 trillion left or something like that.
Yep. Yeah,
but
I don't quite know how much they have left. Do you know?
I don't know the number. To be honest,
It might still be up there, frankly.
It's in the trillions. It's
Because
definitely
I mean, they were only selling $100 billion a month, I want to say. So they might have only, and that was only going on for the past year or so.
It was a combination of, and again, we're in the weeds, but a lot of what they bought was short-term paper. So a lot of that was stuff that just matured, and then they didn't redeploy the cash after maturity. Right. So that's a very fixed income market thing. But effectively, their $4 trillion that they just printed has sort of, those are all loans that have slowly been repaid.
Right. Picture like the fire truck, wow, wow, running down the street.
What is that?
A fire truck, wow, wow. Oh, that's a cat, actually.
Like
That's
a
a
cat.
Yeah, that thing. Okay, I got it.
You got it.
I didn't know. I was like, what?
That's how every fire truck sounds.
If we put them together, it would be perfect, actually.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
like a fire truck. Boop, 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 boop.
Those are how fire trucks sound in China, okay, in case you weren't
Oh, gotcha.
aware. I don't know why I picked China. So this is the equivalent, right? Quantitative easing is the equivalent of the fire truck, we'll just say, without the sound of
Here comes a fire truck. Do 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 do.
Ted likes the bullhorn a lot.
Yeah.
It's the truck. It's how you differentiate the fire trucks from all the other emergency vehicles. The horn.
That's what quantitative easing is. It's the fire truck with the hose pointing at the burning house or burning building. That's what quantitative easing is. And this morning, out of left field, according to, I have not heard this, Ted told me this, Trump announced.
He didn't announce. It was a very offhanded response to a question as he was walking onto a helicopter. So I don't want.
Oh, that I did see.
It wasn't like a prepared. It was more. Yeah. So anyway, when asked a question, the first question they asked him as he's getting on the helicopter is, because he's been like railing on the Fed. He's been complaining about the Fed and trying to say like, if only the Fed hadn't held us back. And
Who are supposed to be an independent body, independent of any political influence.
Long set precedent is the president of the United States of America does not tell the Fed what to do on policy and doesn't get involved. And yet this president has, blatantly offended that to the point where, he was asked the question today, what should the Fed set interest rates at? And his response was, I think they should lower rates. And I think they should not do quantitative tightening, but they should do more quantitative easing. And so, like, if a Fed governor had said that, like if somebody who worked at the Federal Reserve Bank was quoted in a newspaper today saying we should lower rates, there would be a huge market reaction. You'd see the stock market sell off everything that just happened because that would be a signal that the Fed sees bad stuff happening and they need to lower interest rates because the economy's about to tank. And if they don't lower interest rates and start doing fire truck, like call the fire truck. And so that's what President Trump said today. Call the fire truck.
Yeah.
Instead of saying the economy is as strong as it's ever been and we should be stockpiling water in case there's a fire someday.
I wonder, Ted, why do you think President Trump in 2019 basically said, let's call in the fire truck on the economy?
I think he's a one-dimensional chess player. He's a checkers player, and he's like, if the economy is better, my life is better.
I get elected.
Leave the fire trucks on all the time.
Right.
Just spray water. Why would you turn off the fire truck?
So much water.
But are they
so
actually
much
spraying
sound.
water or is it oil?
Well,
That's a good question.
If you
Well, that's
sprayed
a great
oil
question.
on fire, I
you know
don't
what
think that
asset
would
class
help.
has hugely outperformed stocks in the last? So if you look at the stock market, that's gone up. And if you think about that going up in U.S. dollar terms, that means the dollar is worth less compared to the U.S. stock market today than it was 2 weeks ago. If you look at Bitcoin, it's up like 20, 30%
What's
last
up with
week.
that?
Oh, wow.
Right? So you got a moron president talking about quantitative easing.
People moving in Bitcoin?
People are like, man, why do we have
After
monetary
this?
policy that's just wasting money?
Maybe. Yeah, I couldn't believe Bitcoin jumped up like that again. So we didn't get here by accident is what I'm trying to say. We got here through emergency measures that have been going on for 10 long years. And Trump's saying, let's bring those emergency measures back in so we can boost the economy so I can make sure I get elected. And I'm saying, yo, none of that feels good to me at all. The fact that we even had a huge change of heart in December from the Fed president, Jerome Powell, and the Fed, and they started to be much more friendly with interest rates, much easier policy, economic policy. That freaks me out a little bit. Like, I feel like we're already kind of at these all-time highs with GDP, the growth of the U.S. I feel like we're kind of already in bubble territory with a lot of these assets being so high. It's like, yo, just prick the bubble.
Have you ever had your wisdom teeth taken out?
Thank God, no.
Anybody here had their wisdom
Yes.
teeth? So I had my wisdom teeth taken out like 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I got them taken the place was like literally half a block from my house. I lived in the city at the time. And I remember like going to my pre-thing and they're like, you're going to need somebody to walk you home after this. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it's across the street. I've stumbled home plenty times down the street. It'll be fine. And they're like, no, seriously, you're going to need. So like I had my wife come get me, walk me home. And I like literally fell down the stairs walking up to my house. Like I was like, holy shit, I was fucked up. So then I ended up, they give me Vicodin right afterwards, and I'm on Vicodin for like 4 days. They gave you like 6 or 7 days of Vicodin, and I don't know that I had any experience with opioids before this, but I'm on Vicodin for like 5 days, and like day 5, I'm like, man, there's only like
chillin'.
1 or 2 days of Vicodin left. I gotta call this doctor and get some more Vicodin. Like that. I mean, that's
That was your natural reaction?
I swear I called the guy, and I'm like, the thing's killing me, man. I'm gonna need more of the stuff. He's like, why don't you come in? I'll have a look at it. And I go in, and he did some like petri dish thing that actually did feel really, really good. And basically, he's like, "Yeah, I'm not giving you any more Vicodin, man." Ooh. And I remember walking out of there like, like, yeah, I wanted Vicodin.
I gotta call the Sacklers.
And then like a week later, yeah, so the Sackler thing came in like a week. But that's what this quantitative easing is for giant banks or for billionaire real estate developers. It's opium, it's drugs, and like, why would you ever take away the cheap money? Like, they're never going to want to give up cheap money.
Right. No, they love it. And so in December, the Fed came out and said, hey, we're going to go a little easier again. And maybe we're not going to lower rates, but we're definitely going to stop raising rates. The stock market just flew after that. And
to be fair, right before
since.
The Fed was trying to say, listen, we're going to be reasonable and we're going to try to get back to like normal interest rates.
Right.
And people were like, holy shit, normal interest rates. That's terrible. The stock market plummeted, what, 10%, 15%?
Yeah.
Almost 20%.
19.8?
Yeah.
Which is basically
just short
0.2 of a bear market.
Just short of a bear market. In response to the Fed saying we wanted to go to a normal interest rate environment.
Dang.
What's a bear market?
20%, a market decline of 20% or more.
From peak to whatever the level is. So from the highest point, if you're down 20%, you are in a bear market.
Yeah.
It's like, why is that like a benchmark or something? Is that like...
Bears are scary, bro.
What'd you say?
So bears are scary.
Bears are scary.
But then again, so are Bulls. And they're both Chicago teams. So I don't know where that leaves us. That was just free association.
Thank you.
Chicago's a finance city, guys.
That's true.
Oh.
That's why we have the Bulls and the
Oh,
Bears
is that
here.
why? Where does the Black Hawk fit into the stock market?
We stole all this land from the Indians.
Oh, perfect.
No, we literally stole all the land from the Indians, and then right at the end of LaSalle, we put across the street from the Federal Reserve Bank, we put the Chicago Board of Trade, where we traded grain and all kinds of commodities that people grew in the Midwest, pork and cows and stuff, and then sold them onto boats and put them into Lake Michigan and shipped them off all over the world. So Chicago became the financial center of the Midwest because it's where all of the commodities of America came and got turned into money.
Gotcha.
Right.
Now I really did learn.
There, boom.
Bulls and bears.
It only took us 20 minutes into the podcast.
Is a bull market 20% up from the thing? Is that it? Is it
I've
the
never heard
opposite?
that before.
That's a great
actually.
question. How you define a bull market? Bear market is 20% down from the top, and so I guess a bull market means you're.
I've never heard a definition for it necessarily.
Not-
there could be one.
But not a bear market. I mean,
Yeah. But it'd be weird to say if the market was down 20% tomorrow and then we go up the next day, you don't call that a bull market.
Right.
A bull market, my guess, is a prolonged period of time where the stock market is rising. You have expansion in GDP and growth. So I feel like there's no
Right.
clear
people
definition.
would say the current bull market began March 9th, 2009, and that was the
Yes.
intraday low. That was the lowest point it got to after the financial crisis was
Yeah.
at like 10 a.m. on March 9th.
Yeah, 10 years ago approximately.
Gotcha. So it's not like the direct antithesis of
Wow,
the,
like to the day.
Yeah.
bear market because it's got to be like over a prolonged period of time.
I think you
of,
actually
like,
look.
growth.
I think you look back and define a bull market. I think
Okay.
you look back and say, you know what? I think we're in a bull market at this point.
This market's gone up 4 times from
Right.
where it was there.
Exactly. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
But to go back to your, go ahead, Kareem. You had a question?
No, I was gonna say. So after looking it up,
Oh, yeah.
the reason why it's called the bull and a bear market is because a bear, when they attack, they swipe down, so the market's going down 20 points, and a bull market, like a bull, goes with his horns up.
Damn.
So
and you
that's
can
an
only
upward
see a
sloped
bull in retrospect. You can't see it coming. You can
You
only
just
see
find it
going.
up. You just find its horn
Up there.
up your ass.
Yeah.
Boom.
Whereas you
At a later
see
point.
bears. I don't know.
The bulls come after that red. They see. I don't know.
Yeah. So the 20% down is kind of arbitrary. It could be 25% down. It could be 15% down. But they just say 20% as a bear market as a benchmark.
Okay.
Yeah. So just so people have some sort of definition. So what do we do with all this? What do we do with all of this? Right. We have some awareness that we're in the middle of taking a bunch of opioids, and Trump wants to give us more opioids. What do we do with that as investors? Do we just say, well, let me get the hell out of the stock market? Truth be told, it is a bit of a crazy investing world when it comes to things like stocks and bonds. I'm not going to lie, right? Look at all these political games that are being played versus, let's say, real estate, which you're buying a piece of land and you feel more confident and you have more control over that. However, I make the point that despite all the political games that get played, there's so many factors always lining up to support the stock market, to encourage the market to keep going up. Enough people will agree on that. Enough politically powerful people will agree on that, and that is the wealthy class. And so that will keep the market going up. And I'm saying, people who are afraid of the stock market or who don't normally participate in it, even if it's a small amount of money, you are very likely to make money on that over time. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next month, but it's a long-term play that I'm encouraging people to do. That's why I always talk about 60-20-20, right? Take 20% of your income and divert it straight to the stock market in some sort of diversified way. For example, using Robinhood or Betterment to invest in the SPY. That ticker is for the S&P 500. So that's my take is amidst all this chaos, know what's going on, understand what I'm saying about the Fed and about Trump and about the markets. We're in the middle of this huge bull market and keep investing. That's what I'm saying.
They're going to keep printing that money.
That's right.
I think what would scare me at this point is just knowing that it's taken 10 years to reach where we were at 2009. Or when was the highest? Was it 2009 you said?
2009 was the last low.
The lowest.
low.
And
Yeah,
then
the last
10
high
years.
was probably 2008, late 2008.
Yeah.
Probably like in
About
October,
11 years.
November.
Even before, yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So is that like
And it took like a year. It took like a year from it immediately went down. It went down 20% in like a month or two,
Right.
and then it kept going
Right.
Yeah.
It like dropped 40 or 50%.
50, yeah.
We said this is we're almost at a record high.
Yes.
When was the last record high?
Oh, no. The last record high?
Yeah.
It was just in...
That was last year.
Yeah, it was just in,
that's right.
I would say, August or
We've
September.
been hitting record highs for 5 years now.
Yeah.
Okay.
If not more.
Yeah, like we surpassed the 2008 highs probably in, I don't know, 2012, 2013.
13, yeah.
Gotcha.
Something like that.
Never mind then.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's one of the interesting things about the technical bull versus bear market. Like, bear markets are weird. If you're down 20% off of the highs, it's actually really weird how long before you'll start going up again. Like that particular one, it was like, I want to say it was like 4 or 6 quarters before you started to, like, it just kept going down.
Right.
And you'd think, oh, we're down 40%. It's going to turn around now in like 3 more months of keep going down.
Yeah.
I guess that's what my like. I guess what mine or maybe other people's fears is like. Since we're so high already, it's like to expect that crash sometime soon.
The higher you go, the harder you fall.
Nah,
Yeah.
man, enjoy the moment, bro. Just chill, dude. Don't fear the market. The market's your friend.
I think you should be not fearful of it, and you should view. I mean,
Bulls are pretty scary though.
when I was a market trader, when I was doing this, like I would get excited. I'd be like, wow, I get to. So there's 2 things. I think Amer's point of saving 20% of your weekly earnings and putting that into a savings portfolio of some kind that's the first most important thing. And that's what most people don't do. Have some skin in this game in any way, right? Get some skin in the game. And that's sacrifice for a while to get some skin in the game. But once you're in the game, it's a good thing to be in the game. And the cards are stacked in the benefit of the people in the game. Now, if you're in the game and you've been in the game for a little while, this is a time to say, man, my S&P, my SPY has gone way up for the last 10 years. Maybe this is time to rebalance my SPY versus whether it's real estate or movies or tax credit finance, whatever other thing you do. Maybe it's just buying some bonds, or maybe it's a little bit of cash. Maybe it's some Bitcoin.
Maybe a car, maybe collect a car, maybe a piece of art.
Something.
You can sell a little bit of SPY and invest it in something else that you expect to go up in value.
And in the meantime, think, if the SPY, at some point, there is going to be this bear market correction. There is going to be a 20% to 50% drop in these, whether it happens now or in a year from now or 3 years from now, we don't know.
You won't see it, but it's coming.
Nobody's going to tell you it's coming until it happens. And when it starts happening, nobody's going to say it's happening. So in that scenario, you need to be not fearful, but rather greedy. It'd be like, oh man, this shit just got 20% cheaper. I'm going to take my secret cash that I've just been waiting for this opportunity to buy this stuff really cheaply, and I'm going to get more now. And
Warren Buffett, you want to be
Yep.
fearful when everyone's greedy, and you want to be greedy when everyone's fearful.
so it's kind of smart to be fearful right now. If everybody's been really greedy and done really, really well, and I'm not saying, Amer's exactly, you don't take all your chips off the table, but you maybe have stacked up a giant stack, and maybe you take some of them off in your pocket and you wait for that pullback.
You just kind of rearrange it a little bit.
Yeah, and that would have been, if you had done that in October of last year, where the levels are kind of exactly where they are right now. Actually, if you had done that in October, and then the pullback happened in December, and you went and bought some down 19.8%, you've got that much more money now. And so that's what a really good active portfolio manager would do: is on some basis say the moves have happened enough, and I'm going to rebalance my portfolio. And there should be a blend. I think you shouldn't put it all in one thing. It should be different things. And those things should be, the technical term is non-correlated, which means you want them to be things that move completely independent of one another.
Gotcha.
And one of the problems with a lot of traditional sort of Wall Street investments of stocks and bonds is a lot of those investments are all the same thing. And when they get crushed, they all get crushed because I got to sell my bonds to make up for this or whatever. Those are 2 traditionally negatively correlated or uncorrelated, but in the financial crisis, those both got crushed. And in fact, last year, municipal bonds performed horribly, and the S&P performed mediocre in 2018. And so, anyway, I think that blending across other asset classes, so that when one has that big drop, because they're all going to have ups and downs, you've got something else where you've got some dry powder that you can shift over and buy that one on the cheap. It should be an opportunity, especially if we're young.
Right.
It's scary if you're 80.
Right.
It's not scary if you've got to save money for the next 40 years. It's actually the best thing that can happen.
Exactly. To answer your question very shortly is like yes, be fearful and be hopeful. Right? Have both. Like, so you got to be aware that, like, okay, this is probably not the best time to be putting in tons of money, so I'm not going to put in tons. But to start building a 40-year thing, sure, this is just as good a time as any other. You know, that's how I'd be thinking about it.
All your fears are opportunities.
Boom.
Gandhi.
Ooh.
Gandhi said that.
Gandhi Higley.
Yeah. I made that Gandhi quote up, but it sounds like he could have said it, and so that means it's just as significant.
He should have said
That's right.
And that's what he was talking about, the markets, too.
That's all he cared about, Gandhi, at that time. Right. Of course, the UK markets, not the American stock market.
Right.
Let's move on, baby. Let's talk to our boy, Ted Reilly, former Goldman Sachs director. Director?
No.
What
not
level were
even
you?
close.
VP? You're a VP.
No, I was not VP. Associate.
Wah, wah,
Lowly
wah.
associate.
Come on now.
Yeah.
That's
you-
the fire truck sound announcing. Goldman Sachs.
Amer was far more successful in his tenure at JP Morgan than me.
Just talk to my boss. He would disagree with me. And my clients. And my parents. And, I'm the only one who thought I was successful at JP Morgan. No, but, so, Ted, I want to know, can you teach me how to make money making movies? That's my question. Right, so let's just talk about CMA. So you run CMA along with Kelly Waller. Mm-hmm. You both are the executive directors of this media fund. So what you guys do is raise money and basically produce movies. So to date, you guys have invested in some sort of form. You've invested in 17 movies and 2 television shows. Is that correct?
That's correct. And a couple other, like a slate of web series too.
Some web series too.
Some other things.
Cool.
But yeah.
Cool. So the first question, right? If I wanted to make money making a movie, can a regular guy, the way he might open up a restaurant and actually make some money? Or a convenience store, a small convenience store? Can you do that same kind of thing in the movie world? Or is the movie world just like this thing where it's like, no, you can't open up a convenience store and make money? No, it's only for the big studios, the Marvel, the Universal, the Sony Pictures, and there's no room for the average guy. If Skyler or Yahya or Kareem or myself said, yo, I want to make a movie and try and make some money making that movie. Is something like that possible, or is it a pipe dream?
So on one hand, it is possible, and there are movies that make tons of money. But I think the convenience store, that's an interesting analogy, right? Like I could see a hardworking person who saved up some money say, I'm going to take my savings and I'm going to put it into a liquor store on this cabinet, and I'm going to work hard. And if you work hard and you show up and you run that liquor store well and you're smart about where it is, I think there's a very good chance you could do that successfully. I think movies are a little bit different in that if you take your savings and go say, I'm going to make one movie, and I'm going to work really hard at that one movie for 3 or 5 years, and we're going to do that one movie really, really well. And I'm going to put my life savings into that one movie. I would say as an experienced film producer, don't do that. Because it is not like if you just show up and do – we've made phenomenal movies that are excellent, in my opinion and in other people's opinions, and they have not been profitable. And so I think the only way that you can – that said, the movies that do financially well have huge outside returns. So they could return many, many multiples on their investment if you are successful.
If you are successful.
But you need to be prepared for investing in 30 movies and having 2 of those movies provide all your profits on that whole thing.
Wow. But we're talking about an average guy who probably won't do the 30 movies in the next couple of years, right? So what you're saying for that guy, right? So let's say Skyler. Skyler's in the world of media. Right, he's
I actually have a screenplay for you to look at right now.
In your pocket?
No. What if I brought one? I'm glad you brought this up.
That's how we make all of our investment decisions. If you pitch us in the middle of a podcast, we just wire you money.
In the middle of a conversation, and just like my account number is.
So if Skyler wanted to do that, right? The advice you'd give Skyler, as I'm understanding you, is like, yeah, great. Grab the script, write a good script, or buy a script, get a script. Get your guys together, whoever your actors are going to be, whoever is going to hold your boom mics, whoever's going to do your grip stuff, whoever's going to build your studios or whatever you're going to need to actually film the movie, and the camera guys, and film that movie. And know that you should film it while knowing you probably are not going to make money on this movie.
Any one individual movie is probably going to lose money.
Correct. So film that movie knowing you're probably going to actually lose money on that. So obviously, you're going to want to lose either a really small amount of money, call it 5, 10, 20 grand, or 2, lose someone else's money. If you can get someone to...
People love losing other people's money.
Yes. Yeah. So, but the truth is, you might find someone who you get them on board and you tell them, hey, look, you could maybe go to Kareem, be like, Kareem, this movie ain't gonna make money, but I'm looking to make one movie every year, each one about $50,000 budget. You want to partner up with me in some way so that we can try and play the game for the next 5 years and just make one movie after the next on a shoestring budget. So am I understanding you correctly? If Skyler was to do something, that might be a good approach in that way?
Yeah, I think you kind of got to... I think back in Wall Street, I would say there was different jobs for different people's attention spans. Now, Ted Reilly, I've got like major ADD. So I need to have a little tiny bit of a whole lot of different projects because that's how I like to operate. And my company is based on, if you're an investor in movies and you want to invest in 50 movies, we let you split up your money 50 different ways and pick which projects to put your money into. And so we let people go make lots of those little bets. If you're more of a, and what that meant in Wall Street is that I was in a sales job, and I was in a sales job where my clients bought every single asset class that existed, and my specialty was being a mile wide and an inch deep, and I could go anywhere that somebody wanted to go. And that's what I do here at CMA for movies in some extent. I would say if Skyler wants to be a producer, and he's more of like that maniacal investment banker who really cares about like the forestry industry, and he's just going to spend 5 years looking at international paper and say, how come they've got 6 million acres of forest land that's not reflected on their balance sheet, and their market cap doesn't seem to appreciate that they've got $10 billion of real estate, and like figures out how to go do one transaction that unlocks $6 billion.
Right.
And it takes him 5 years to do it, but he gets paid a ton of money when he pulls that off. That's kind of like being an independent producer who makes money in movies. I think that you need to be prepared to either get a great package and hope to convince investors. The reality is the producers who we partner with at Chicago Media Angels, they get paid to make the movie. And so regardless of whether or not our investment is profitable, they earned their money by doing the work of making the movie. Right. They have incentives. They get paid more money if we get our money back. But I think it's knowing where you are, and without a doubt, to be that maniacally focused producer who puts together a package. But even then, I think if you're going to be a producer, you need to have a lot of irons in the fire. You never know which movie's going to get funded so that you can pay yourself. So you need to be trying to make a lot of movies.
So maybe multiple scripts, multiple irons in the fire, multiple conversations with multiple people around that. Okay.
And what Skyler's doing is if you're far into producer, if you're more of like a talent or a writer, like that, I would say build your audience. And like that's going out to the people and showing up on podcasts and at open mics and at various comedy, like doing stuff so that people know who you are, and eventually people are like, oh, Skyler's in that thing, I'm going to watch that thing. Now so it takes time. That just takes years.
Let me show you whether you're if you're a talent, or is that also if you're a producer or director or whatever, or writer?
I'd say those two things can overlap.
Got it. So you're saying no matter what, build your audience, period. That's going to help your possibly low budget movie to begin with, because you'll have an audience to watch it.
That you could either you can make that $50,000 movie yourself that you talked about, and if you've got your own followers on Instagram, you can go get them to watch it. Or by the way, if you're trying to go get somebody to give you $1 million to make a movie that maybe is more commercially, like could premiere at South by Southwest or a Sundance, and you want to pitch that to Chicago Media Angels, your pitch is going to rise to the top of the 1,000 projects we get a year
because of that.
If you've got a giant audience that's super engaged in your topic matter.
So build that audience is an important part of making a movie that makes money.
That's right.
Makes sense. All right. So let's hypothetically say I don't have an audience, but I still want to get into the movie making business. I have a small audience or almost no audience. And so I decide to get the script and get everyone together, right? So getting a script, does that require... So let's just go into the basics of making this low-budget movie. Mm-hmm. That, hey, maybe someone wants to make a movie for both the experience and, hey, maybe it'll be the next Paranormal Activity, right? Which
Paranormal Reactivity.
Boom.
Ooh.
It's just ghosts getting mad at stuff you said. And like, that was an innocuous thing. And the ghost's like, that would hurt my feelings. And that's the movie. That's scene one, act one, scene one.
Done.
I'm such a great writer, you guys.
There it is, right there.
Let's film it. But
Put it on paper.
So let's say somebody's doing that, right? They're going to make this low budget movie, very low budget. If they did want to, they get a script, right? They hire the DP or the camera guy. Mm-hmm. They hire all the parts of the movie that they need, right? Mike, were you going to say something?
Well, go ahead. Keep going.
My question is, they now have a movie done. They put in their 15 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, whatever. They even did the editing themselves. And they've got a thing that maybe it's not awesome, but they got something. What would they do to now try and get people to watch that movie and maybe make a little bit of money? Maybe make their 15, 20 grand back if they wanted to make that 20 grand back. Is there any possibility?
Oh, for sure. And by the way, if you make a movie and you get it finished for less than 100 grand, I think there's a lot of ways to get your movie back, but it's still a lot of work. Anybody can put a movie up on Amazon Prime or on iTunes and on the various, transactional VOD platforms that exist.
Oh, really? Anyone?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so we can make a movie.
You have to
grand?
conform it a certain way. So, but there's places you can pay $900 and they'll take your movie and they'll put it on iTunes and they'll put it on Amazon Prime. Yeah, I mean, anybody can do that.
But then you just got to cross your fingers and hope someone finds it and pays $3.99 for it.
Apple will mail you 70 cents on the dollar for anything that anybody pays at iTunes for.
Is that right? 70%?
Yeah, that's what you get from Apple.
So if he makes his movie for 50 grand and after a year $50,000 are purchased, he'll get 35 of that 50,000. He'll get 70% of that 50,000. Yeah. In terms of
the trick is, how do you get those people? How do you actually get
people
in that
to click
case,
and
12,000 people to go give them $4?
That's more audience stuff.
And that's where, if you had 100,000 followers on Instagram and you said, "Hey, 10% of you go rent my movie," and now you've got that 12,000 people that went and rented your movie, and you got that 35 grand back.
And that's what you should go for when you promote something to your followers. Just say, "Hey, I need 10% of you only," and then everybody else, don't worry about it.
Well, 10% engagement in social media is exceptionally high, and if you've got that, you are killing it. So that's why I use that number. And by the way, this is an exceptional level. I'm not just asking you to like my photo. I'm asking you to go to iTunes and give me $4.
Right.
That's like a thing, and consumers are reluctant to do that when they already gave Netflix $12, and they're like, "Well, what can I watch for free right now?"
Right.
And so. There's a balance there. But so with bigger movies, we do all kinds of movies. The movies that I invest in usually there's kind of three different budgets. Either we make movies for about $300,000 to $500,000, or we make movies for right around $1 million, or we make movies for like $3 to $5 million. Mm-hmm. And the reasons for those price points are a lot of film production. The scenario of Skyler and doing this is super independent. There are no rules. You guys do whatever you want. But a lot of movies that we invest in will involve SAG-AFTRA or will involve other unions. Mm-hmm. Once the unions get involved, there's very rigid rates that you have to pay everybody, and those things are kind of set based on budget prices.
Right.
So if your budget goes above a certain level, those rates all change.
Right.
And so that's why there's those break points of
300 to 500. Yep. Yeah, it depends on. Basically, it's almost like a fixed cost in business.
That's right. So if you're going to make one of those lower budget $300,000 movies, that I think you can totally justify by saying, we're going to self-distribute this. We've got, so-and-so Instagram influencers in the movie who have 300,000 followers, and it's a very niche audience, but we're not going to spend $1 gazillion making this movie, so we can scrape our money back over time.
So let's say, let me just pause you there. Let's say Skyler, or let's say keep going Skyler. Skyler himself only has 1,000 followers or 5,000 followers.
First of all, I have 1,200 followers on Instagram.
Boom.
Thank you.
Boom.
Boom. About, I want to say 5% engagement. No, I don't know. I have no idea what the engagement is.
So let's say he's
if you don't have that yet, then your everyday exercise should be building that.
Yeah.
Yes.
To be honest.
But hold on. But also, right, he's building something else, right? He's in the middle of his career building it up. And so he's making relationships. He but he's done sets with Roy Wood. He's done sets with Chris Redd. They've been on the show. And he at the next show, one of them might show up and he'd be like, "Hey, I'm doing this movie. You mind doing a couple parts for me? I love you, Skyler. Of course I will." Mm-hmm. Boom. You just suddenly got someone with hundreds of thousands of followers. Or maybe you get both Roy and Chris, for example. And they do it. And now suddenly...
Or maybe you ask them to do a web series thing with you that's even cheaper. Here's my... I guess I'm going to cut to the... I'm going to cut to...
Are you about to cut to the JP Morgan Chase?
I'm going to cut to the chase. If you've got 30 or 50 grand, if you've got 30 or 50 grand, don't try to make a feature film.
If what?
If you have 30 or 50 grand, do not try to make a feature film. There are 14,000 films that submit to Sundance every year, of which 60 get in, of which half of them maybe get some of their money back. Like, the reality is, to compete for 90 minutes of somebody's time is really, really hard from a consumer standpoint. Whereas to compete for 3 minutes of somebody's time or 250 or something, that's kind of easy. And to take 30 or 50 grand, you could make a great web series. You could make Skyler Higley's Instagram really hot for 50 grand for a long time, and go get all the clips of him showing up with everybody. Get them to, hey, come do a cool. We're just going to do a totally fun thing. Famous person with $1 million.
You can get with 50 grand. You can get his Instagram to be really hot. What do you mean by that?
Well, because it only takes like the Instagram videos. It's only a minute long, so all the production value that you could possibly put into like 1 minute is still going to be really good. Also, people are engaged into like Instagram jokes and like really like snappy,
memes,
whatever, all of that stuff. And if you had, let's say, 30 to 50 grand, that's like those things to shoot don't cost that much.
Right.
Like, you could.
Do you ever watch Will Smith's Instagram?
Yep.
I love Will Smith's Instagram. Every video he posts is pretty produced. He's clearly shot a whole bunch of stuff. They've clearly then gone and edited it down to make it a funny with some sound effects and some editing effects. It's not expensive. You're talking about, $2,500 a day or something, and that's a nice gig. You could probably get it done for a quarter of that or a fraction of that. But that's somebody there making one video a day for $300 is your video. For 50 grand, you got a lot of videos. Here's the thing to grow on Instagram: you got to be you're gonna put something out there.
Consistent.
Boom.
So let's make sure we get this. So you're saying Skyler somehow gets access to 50 grand, right? And here and there, maybe he calls a friend. Maybe he calls up a Chris Red or someone and does a video. Maybe not. Maybe he just comes up with a great 1 minute sketch.
Tags them in something and they get in on the joke. That's the best thing. But.
Right, even better. So, but you're saying take that 50 grand, spread it out over 365 days maybe, and get something produced every day that's pretty damn good for a minute on IG. That's kind of becoming a mini web series in a way. It's the Skyler Higley web series, but and so you're saying, Amer, you want to make money in movies? Here's the path, and good luck. It's going to take you 3 to 5 years, and even then, I can't promise you the way I could promise you more with a convenience store. But with the web series, you're getting a little closer to opening up that convenience store.
I would say with the web series, you're getting closer to building. What I'm trying to do with the $300,000 movie is find that guy with 100,000 followers on Instagram who's he's now willing to leverage all the work that he put into those $300,000 Instagram followers, and we're going to put that into this $300,000 movie. And if that becomes successful and he gets 3 million followers, now we'll go make $1 million movie.
Okay.
And you kind of build on it. And so where can you can't, there's a glut of content. Everybody is putting up iTunes, Instagram, YouTube video. There's tons. We could watch more shit than we have time to watch.
Unprecedented.
And so for what you need to do you need to stand out. I think your quality needs to be above other people's quality. And where's your quality going to be above other people's quality if your budget's 30 grand? It's not going to be in the feature film space. It's certainly not going to be in like the paranormal activity space.
Nope.
And so you need to go, where are you going to stand out? And how can you, but then it's just building awareness around you. And that's what I'm trying to do with my movies is we're trying to build awareness. We're trying to package, here are the parts of the movies when you think about it. There's development. Development is finding the IP, the intellectual property. A script is sort of the bare minimum, but the best films will be, a Marvel comic movie is based on a Marvel comic. Batman movie, Batman is the intellectual property.
Right.
Before you had a script, I had Batman.
Right.
Okay, so the intellectual property that you build this around. Now, in a more dumbed down scenario, but a perfect example, Key and Peele, right? You look at that model of like guys doing sketch comedy, they build up a following, they're funny, now they go do $1 million movie. Holy shit, that movie made a ton of money. Here's $1 billion, do whatever you want.
Right.
Like that is, but didn't happen overnight.
No.
It took years and years and years and years. And lots of that stuff they were doing and putting on little web series, short sketch, digital comedy, people are like, how are you ever going to get paid doing that? And the answer is you're not getting paid directly. You're building an audience. You're building awareness that eventually you'll be able to convert into that $4.5 million horror movie you want to make.
Right.
Now,
Which was Get Out was $4.5 million. Right?
I think that's what they say they spent on that. But I think that's you got to think about it very strategically in that way.
Right.
And for us, when we invest in movies, we're trying to see a lot of those pieces together, because even then it's not sure. So Come As You Are movie, the movie was made for about $1 million. It's got Gabby, it's got Grant, it's got Hayden, it's got Janine Garofalo. You go follow very, very different people. They all have very different followings.
Right.
Some of them have 1 million followers. And we're hoping to ride all of that into one bigger package to make that movie work. So I think that you got to think about, if you're a performer or a producer, it's how do you build that brand? That brand awareness, who you are.
So it's clear from the performer side. Let's take a lawyer that's making good money, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to try and make money in the media space." What advice would we give to that guy? Right? Would it be to find a Skyler or a Kareem or someone? And
I am available.
It sounded so prostitution.
A lawyer's an easy example, right? Because a lawyer's, obviously, they've got the service that they provide to the movies, which is the legal advice that they charge by the hour to do, and that's how they make the movie.
I'm saying lawyer from an investment perspective.
Okay.
Or a banker. Forget lawyer. Someone who just has some cash.
Librarian, let's say. A very rich
there's
librarian.
a lot of super rich librarians wearing Patagonia vests, for sure. So my question is, like, that guy wants to get involved. He's probably not going to build his own following on Instagram. What would that guy? Should he find someone like a Skyler or someone and start putting?
That guy should join Chicago Media Angels.
Yep.
And he should, which is our group of a network of individual investors. We've got about 70 individual accredited investors. They attend quarterly meetings.
Which, by the way, that's what I did, guys. I joined Chicago Media Angels.
Yep. And
that made the most sense for me.
Congratulations.
And we had. And that, you're a lawyer, you've got a day job. Our job is 24/7 screening these projects, looking for this great intellectual property, looking for talented producers and talent that have following and are marketable, and is screening those projects so that we put the best 3 options in front of those investors every quarter, and then they can choose which ones they want to put their dollars into.
Thank you, Ted. That was great, man.
Thanks
we
for
now have a better idea of how to make some money in movies, film, television, so on and so forth. Let's transition, not to a different gender or a different world, but to Elon Musk, who's living in a different world.
That might be trans-dimensional.
Yeah,
He's very much close to trans-dimensional. This man is trying to save the world, take us to different planets, end our reliance on oil and destroying the earth. And yesterday, he was in court waiting for a judge to decide what he can tweet and what he cannot tweet. That's what this man's life has amounted to. I'm just saying, like, bizarre world that we live in here.
That might be a phenomenal depiction of exactly the world we live in right now.
Right?
I would love to see a short film of that. I will not write it. You have to find somebody else, Ted.
Elon. So first of all, let's start with this way. Tesla stock down 8.2% yesterday because they delivered less cars than Wall Street expected. They previously reported that they would deliver 72,000 cars in the first quarter to buyers of their electric cars. 63,000 were delivered instead of 72. So Wall Street was up in arms. Everyone was worried. Blah blah blah. The other piece of news is Elon was in court because of his tweeting habits. The SEC already has slam dunked this guy multiple times. And so he was in court because of a previous mistake he made a month ago. Or at least they say he made a mistake. So he's basically in a war with the SEC, and it's all about how he tweets. And yeah, the juxtaposition to me was so massive. This guy is the CEO of a $60 billion company. This guy, better than anyone else, more than anyone else, is trying to stop us from destroying the earth and how much we, frack or refine oil or so on and so forth. And he's in court waiting for a judge to decide how he can tweet and what he can tweet. And the judge was like, look, you and the SEC, why don't y'all go back, sit in a room, and figure out some sort of settlement agreement? And that was what the judge said. It was basically like, you guys are adults. Go figure this shit out yourself. I got nothing else to say on that story except for that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I like Elon's visionary views, but I don't think he should be running a $50 billion company.
Yeah.
I think that's the reality. Like, I think go retire to rocket ships and.
I mean, he could be the visionary the way Sergey and Larry were for Google, but hire an Eric Schmidt.
That's right. They hired Eric Schmidt.
They knew that they wanted to say and do whatever they
Eric
wanted.
Schmidt badly.
Yeah, are you available, Skyler?
I absolutely to run the company.
Tesla?
I want
Yeah.
well.
You could be Eric Schmidt.
No, I want to do the Elon Musk stuff. I want to do the fun parts. I'll tweet for him. I'll do the raps. I'll go to space. That part,
Smoke
cool
blunts
part.
on podcasts.
Yeah,
Joe
smoke with
Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, if you hear this, I like weed, and I can stomach you talking about MMA for a little bit. I'll do it. I don't care. I want to, but as far as like running the company, I feel like I'm probably less responsible than. Well, if Elon Musk, if it's between me and him, I feel like I could at least be like, hey, I can listen to investors sometimes.
So you of all the people here, you have heard R.I.P. Harambe, right?
Yes.
So what exactly is Elon doing in the world of music right now?
Avant-garde.
Yeah, avant-garde, a song based on a 3-year-old internet meme called R.I.P. Harambe. Sounds pretty reggae.
Really stuck with him, huh?
Gets on
3-year
there
meme.
and goes, the Harambe, and all that.
Is it Elon
kind
singing it?
You know what? Apparently, I don't think it doesn't sound like it, but it's heavy auto-tuned. Just based on how I've heard him talk, I don't know if he could really sing like that. But yeah, the song is produced. It may be some sort of commentary on where we're at with the memetics and our culture, or it's just something that he fucking wanted to do. I don't know.
Isn't that an app, memetics?
Memetics is like like the study of how thoughts replicate throughout culture, and it's somewhat a pseudoscience and
Cutting edge shit.
Yeah,
It's
we need
like semiotics.
PhDs and professors all over this shit right now.
Yeah,
Your thesis is like make a meme that breaks the internet.
yeah. There's got to be so many essays on Elon Musk. I bet.
Oh, for sure. I was actually in San Francisco this past few days visiting a friend, and the friend told me to put me up in the Marriott. Basically, he told me to stay at the Marriott, and right next to the Marriott is the Tesla factory in Fremont, California. I was in Fremont.
They have a fire or something? They have any excuse on why they missed so badly?
On the delivery of cars.
Yeah.
I think they so there's this.
Sorry, it's a tangent.
No,
I
there's
thought
this-
maybe you observed something in the factory while you were next door.
Yeah, somebody
did.
started a fire with one of his flamethrowers.
I definitely observed something, but it wasn't that. There's a tax credit for buying an electric vehicle that expired, and they knew it was going to expire, obviously, but they underestimated how many consumers would be like, I'm not gonna buy an electric car because of this tax credit.
So they
now.
made the cars that people just literally walked away from 9,000 orders.
Orders? Oh, no. I think that's not how I understand it.
No, okay. Yeah.
I think that people just buy cars as the quarter
Yeah.
goes on, and they expected 72,000 people to buy cars based on previous quarters.
Got it.
But they just underestimated how many people would actually be affected.
So it
by
was
that
an
tax
order
credit.
miss. I thought it was a manufacturing delivery miss. No,
Oh,
we're
no,
talking
no.
about an order miss.
Yes, order miss.
Of
Consumers
a pretty
purchasing.
serious magnitude. Wow. Yeah.
But I think the tax credit went away, and people.
There's going to be a bump.
Yeah, there's gonna be a bump, exactly. So, but yes, I was in Fremont, and I went for a run around the Tesla factory, and I don't know if I have anything to say about this, but you can actually take a tour of the Tesla factory, like to give tours of it. I couldn't do it; I was in a hurry, but that's something I might want to do. It was pretty cool. Like, I mean, it's pretty phenomenal. Like, it doesn't look like a regular factory. It looks pretty interesting. Like, so even the artistic choices they made with the factory itself, it feels kind of futuristic in a way, the way they built it. So yeah, it just was right in the middle of the city. It wasn't like, where a factory, you picture a factory in an industrial complex,
Where are they at with the Tesla roof? I want a Tesla roof.
Yeah, I
What is
don't
a
think
Tesla
it's
roof?
solar panels on the roof.
Solar panel roof.
Oh,
Yeah.
where are they at with the tunnels?
And Elon, the boring tunnels,
That's
right?
a totally different company, the Boring Company.
Yeah, but
Oh.
it's all Elon
Yeah.
related,
That's what he should go do.
He's
Dig-
doing it. He's
dig
doing it all.
holes,
The Elon
shoot rocket ships
The Elon
off.
company. Elon, God help you.
Was it Elon or was it Bezos who sent? Did you hear about this? Somebody sent like a backup hard drive to the moon.
Sounds
2 or 3 weeks
sounds
ago.
musky to me.
Yeah, but I actually think it was Bezos.
Oh,
What was it?
He's the other rocket ship guy, right?
Yeah. He's
yeah.
got blue something. I forget the name.
Yeah, I think that they sent a emergency backup hard drive to the moon, like in case we really, really blow the shit up.
Damn.
Like you can go to the moon. Like if anybody figures out how to get to the moon afterwards.
My question is like, where did you put it on the moon that someone's going to know where to find it? Like, is there
Just
an address?
right next to the flag.
Only Jeff
it's
knows.
the only place that you could go. It's just right
flag?
next to the flag. There's a little sandwich there if you get there, so you can get a snack, have a nap.
Oh man,
Have you guys seen The Martian?
Yes, I like that
Great
movie.
Really good movie.
I
is
love
that with Matt Damon?
Yes.
Yeah.
it. Ooh, have you seen Moon with Sam Rockwell?
Ooh, no.
It's a must watch
Even
because
better?
it's
like The
even
Martian.
better because it's more emotional and it's like he's like on the moon. You're like, oh, he's gonna struggle with like moon stuff, but then no spoiler. It's the premise of the movie. He meets himself. And you're just immediately like, the hell is going? And
He meets himself on
It's
the
like
moon.
a contact thing.
yes, but only
But
like
it
with
happens
himself.
early in the first act.
Yeah. And then it's just him
Whoa,
dealing with like what happens when you meet yourself. And he's been alone, quote unquote, on the moon for like all this time. Yeah, it was really good. I watched that far into the trailer where he finds himself, and I stopped the trailer and I watched it immediately on Netflix.
Oh,
It's
boom,
great.
Netflix.
That trailer clearly
What's
worked.
it again? The Moon?
It's called Moon.
Moon. Love it. Check that out. Sorry for the Martian tangent. But
No, I'm-
but Damon kind of like, going on his excursion across Mars to go get the rover.
Yeah, the
or
rover,
whatever.
right. He needed to get the rover right.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. It's gonna
I
be
love
the guy
him
remembering
growing all that, all the plants in his inside. That was amazing.
It was amazing. The movie's so good. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
And then it's just soul crushing. He's got like his potatoes and the door breaks.
Oh, and he loses all his potatoes.
Which really bothers me because like earlier in the movie he's got like a duct taped window and like there's a storm and he's fine. Like
Yeah,
the duct taped window survived the storm. I don't know.
But the potato farm didn't.
I didn't buy the whole door flying off after the potatoes were working well.
Yeah.
To me, it was a forced plot gimmick to
Make sure you never
up
hire.
the ante.
Make sure you never hire that writer for anything CMA does.
Ridley
put him on
Scott,
put him on the CMA
bozo.
blacklist. Put Ridley Scott on the CMA blacklist. He'll never step a foot into Ted's office.
It's a good movie. I like that movie.
It's a really great movie.
All right, let's move on, guys. Let's talk about Saudi Arabia. There was
way less fun than The Martian.
I want to talk about Saudi Arabia.
You do?
We've been talking about Bezos so much today.
yeah.
He claims the Saudis did it, man.
Bezos
They're
claims, right?
responsible for the $35 billion loss.
Oh, the divorce, yeah.
They are.
Well, so Bezos has a bunch of nude pics out there of himself, and Bezos is wondering who hacked his phone and was able to get these nude pics. And what Bezos,
The founder and proprietor of Amazon, knows some people who know how to figure that out.
right, exactly. Now, Bezos says, Bezos says that it's the Saudis who somehow cracked his phone, which, they're not quite known to be that tech savvy in Saudi Arabia, so I couldn't believe that. I'm going to say it might have more to do with the fact that he's using a Fire phone. That might actually be why they were able to hack his.
Wait, is he really?
I don't know. They make an
I
Amazon
would
Fire
assume-
phone, don't they?
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking.
I would assume he uses an Amazon device.
I would assume
Yeah,
so.
that makes sense.
If he used an iPhone, that'd be kind of
pretty
weird.
Pretty hypocritical.
So, I mean, Kareem,
Yeah.
you can crack a Fire phone, I think, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's
With
probably
his-
already cracked, like in the box.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cracked.
Just comes cracked. No, so
It
yeah, he's
also
saying
helped if
Saudi.
his nude pics weren't his wallpaper. It was like people know.
That's everyone has nude pics as their wallpaper, right?
Me, yeah, I have Jeff Bezos nude pics, but it's not. I thought it was his nude pics. It was actually just his head.
Which something nude about his head. But so he's claiming Saudi Arabia did it. Now, in other news, Saudi Arabia's largest company, Aramco, which many people have heard of, for the first time ever went to the public markets to raise money. This is the richest country, probably one of the richest companies per capita in the world, right? And Aramco basically is the golden jewel, the crown jewel of Saudi Arabia, and how all their citizens get money. Why would they? My question is, so they basically wanted to buy a petrochemical company. Aramco wanted to buy an actually government-owned petrochemical company. So Aramco needed to pay the government of Saudi Arabia to buy this company $70 billion. They needed a down payment, so they went to the bond market and borrowed $10 billion from public markets. Why would one of the richest companies... This company, by the way, needs to release reports about how much money they make. They have to kind of like reveal all their internal financial information in order for companies to give them $10 billion. And it was learned that last year, Aramco made $111 billion in profit. That's Apple and Google combined.
Wow.
That's all 5 of the biggest oil companies. Royal Dutch Shell, Texaco. Is that even a company anymore? They're probably more like Exxon. Chevron.
ExxonMobil.
Yeah, ExxonMobil. And probably 1 or 2 more. All of them combined, Aramco makes more than them. So this is the most profitable company in the world, probably in history. They needed to borrow $10 billion. What? That's what I'm wondering about. Is like, why do you need that money? And I think what's happening is they're just starting to quake in their boots more. You don't think so?
No. I think it's a stepping stone towards their eventual IPO, where they're going to sell Aramco to stupid stock payers who will pay them. They'll give it $2 trillion valuation, and they're going to cash out.
Why?
So you start with the bond.
Let's go to the IPO. Why sell your company to begin with if you're the richest company in the world?
Because maybe you believe that we're like peak oil. And
there we go.
You're never going to make $111 billion in a year again.
Like I said, quaking in their boots.
Time to sell is today.
I think climate change people are jumping all over this more and more. I think Elon, right, has taken off. I think Saudi's like, yo, we're at risk of like being nothing in the next decade. That's what I think.
So by borrowing $10 billion first, you get all of these banks that just loaned you $10 billion incentivized to make sure they get their $10 billion back, which means they're going to really help you with your IPO now because they want their $10 billion. And 2, and by the way, there's a mutually advantageous thing for banks. They would love Saudi Aramco to access the markets because they make huge fees. I mean, somebody made a $10 billion deal. Somebody made $600 million to do that transaction.
I think it was JP Morgan and maybe Goldman.
I'm sure it was Goldman and JP Morgan.
I know JP
probably
was
not too much bigger than that because I'm sure
actually,
they let
Goldman
everybody
wasn't involved in it. Goldman was. Well, but here's
I'm
the funny
surprised
thing.
Goldman was actually because the Saudis don't like Goldman.
And Goldman didn't like the Saudis. Like, remember the whole Lloyd didn't go to Davos in the desert? Jamie Dimon didn't go to Davos in the desert after the whole Jamal Khashoggi thing. But now it was reported that David Solomon, CEO of Goldman, was on a flight to go visit Saudi 2 days ago.
He's going to try to make it happen, and
right?
he should. But yeah, so they say slowly walk everybody into it. For them, it's a process of slowly showing the world how much money they make, and they don't want to go through the IPO. That's a highly It's been an issue for a while.
I think this is the start of some kind of decline.
Wow.
This is the start of some kind of decline for Saudi in some way. I don't quite understand it fully, but it feels like them going to borrow a bunch of money is almost like the beginning of I think
they
kind of see the writing on the wall.
I think it's a precursor. Amer borrowing $10 billion right now is a precursor to selling a $40 million IPO. $40 billion IPO. So they're going to take $40 billion of cash in.
Right.
And they're selling to those people who give them that $40 billion. They're stuck with the $10 billion of debt.
Yeah, right.
I think they're
if you're listening, people,
cash
do not lend Saudi any money and do not buy the Aramco IPO.
I would lend them the money. You're getting your money back.
You think so?
I don't know that I don't know that I would buy the IPO.
Right. That $10 billion is probably coming back, but
yeah,
I don't know.
And Saudis, if you're listening, you stop it. You stop that you're doing.
Stop hurting the world.
And if we're at peak oil, please let us know.
That'd be great. That'd be great for the planet.
Yeah.
Last but not least, Patagonia, our favorite vest company that makes warm fleece vests, announced that earlier in the week they announced we're no longer doing any co-branded Patagonia vests, meaning Morgan Stanley and their name on a Patagonia vest.
They specifically said financial services companies or
no,
all companies?
They said they'll only do
Saudi
co-branded
Arabians
stuff.
specifically?
Yeah, we will not do vests for Saudi Arabians anymore.
Because they know that they're borrowing on. All right, go ahead.
Well, they need so many vests in the desert, of course. No.
Yeah. It's dusty.
B corporations. They said they don't want to do anything. They want to be more environmentally conscious and socially conscious, and so they do not want to do. They do not want to work with corporations that are not B corporations. B corporations are basically specialty corporations that get a B corporation status because they're certified environmentally conscious and socially conscious. So all the now, as many of you know, this is the Patagonia fleece is the bro uniform for investment bankers and finance guys. It is the baseball hat of finance. That's what the Patagonia vest is. So all banks and bankers
up
were
there with the navy blue duffel bag.
Yes.
With the logo handles, Yeah, that's
That's the uniform as well.
I've never seen any of these people before in my life.
Lucky you.
We got phone. You can go look Finance Bro.
Finance Bro.
Do a search of Finance Bro, and I guarantee you're gonna see two dudes in a fleece vest.
Yes, you will. So that came out, and so all the finance bros were up in arms, like, "What? We need our Patagonia vest."
It's marketing in Trump's America. The way you market is you hate somebody. And so Patagonia said, let's pick a fight with finance bros who, let's be serious, they're pretty hard to defend.
Right.
And good for Patagonia.
That's actually the biggest news, I think, is like everyone's up in arms. Everyone, the finance bros are up in arms, but everyone else.
Everybody else is buying Patagonia. Like, Patagonia, good for you.
Yeah.
I hate finance bros. That's the same thing that Soho House did. No finance bros.
Yeah, right.
They
only
banned
artists,
finance people, and they won't let any finance people into Soho House. And that made it,
But believe me, they've snuck in.
Some of us, we just don't tell them. But
well, no, technically you're not a finance bro.
That's right.
You're a finance sis. I'm just
That's
kidding.
right. That's right. That's right. I just don't wear my Patagonia fleeces there.
No, if anyone should go into Soho, it's you because you had the balls to leave finance, bro, and do the world of art.
Yeah,
you should own Soho House.
Patagonia did. You know who else did the same tactic? This movie over the weekend. I think it might have top 5 anyway. This movie Unplanned. I think they intentionally figured out how to get banned from Twitter for a day, and that led to their huge outside success.
How'd they get banned?
I don't know how they got banned, but
it was unplanned.
But their whole marketing tactic is the man is trying to stop us. It's a movie that's like anti-Planned Parenthood, and it's all about how like the liberal media wants to crush this movie, and that went crazy, and everybody went to see the movie, and now they've made they're making a ton of money.
Yeah, that was the way to do it.
I mean, that's also I think I don't know if this was so planned, but it's also what the movie with the felt puppet movie, and they got like Sesame Street tried to sue them because in their trailer they said all street no Sesame, and Sesame Street got upset because it's like this raunchy movie with puppets. I'm forgetting the name.
I forgot the name. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But yeah, Sesame Street tried to like come after them, which like that is what brought the awareness to me because there was all these news stories about like Sesame Street tries to sue this.
Let's go watch it now. Right.
The greatest example of this was like 4 or 5 years ago, it might have been more recently than that. Taylor Swift writes this op-ed in like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal that like hates on Apple and Apple Music because she's like, for the 3-month free trial period, you're not paying the artists, and that's not cool. And I don't need it, but the other artists do. So I'm not going to let you have my Taylor Swift album. And then, like, the next day, Tim Cook writes a letter in the same paper that's an op-ed that says, "We love you, Taylor. We'll pay everybody." And then, like, a year later, you start to see, like, the full-blown Apple marketing campaign with Taylor Swift's face on everything.
Yeah.
And the fact is, I think they signed that deal with her. They said, write this nasty op-ed calling us the bad guys.
Get outta here.
We will capitulate.
They set that whole thing up.
You will look like the good guy, Taylor. That's what they do. Go look at the timeline of that Taylor Swift op-ed.
That's interesting.
1000% what happened.
Apple. Wow.
And then that's what happened with Empire, man. Jesse's like, man, I got to get me some of that.
Yeah, he totally did that.
Anyway.
So now here's the punchline of the whole thing. After 2 days of that, with all the finance bros up in arms, Patagonia's like, all right, we got damn, mine goes my microphone. We got everyone to now pay attention. We got the marketing. Lots of people who are not finance bros are buying our vests. And then now we got to get the finance bros back into the bed. So if you were a pre-existing customer of Patagonia, we'll still do co-branding with you, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. So it's all good.
You still get your finance bro fleece.
You still get your finance bro fleece. Everyone else, going forward, new clients, new corporations, we will not co-brand with you.
So we
people won't even know that. People see, I didn't hear that. I don't care.
Right.
People heard them hate on the finance bros and they love it.
They love it.
Just like they don't care that Donald Trump doesn't actually close the border. They just wanted to hear him hate on somebody else.
Totally.
I mean, I also feel like yeah, it's always like that initial outrage, and then like when it gets resolved, nobody's really about that. Nobody knows or hears about it. 'Cause
nobody cares.
It's not outrageous to solve something.
Bam.
So
Bam.
it doesn't. People don't. They just hear like the bad news or the triggering news, and then that's it. My question is about that for moves that are calculated. Let's say on Patagonia's part, or I'd say Jussie Smollett's certainly a different thing. But like, do we feel like how ethical is that to like try to trigger something like that in like culture?
It feels icky, man.
It doesn't. I don't like. It doesn't
Totally
feel right.
feels icky.
But
I mean, shit. I'm probably gonna try and use it for this podcast. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not above it.
I'm not above it. It's just so fast.
I paid some dudes to beat me up yesterday.
Yeah.
No,
2 Nigerians.
no, the Taylor Swift Apple thing, I think that's genius. And I actually don't think
That's
that's
smart.
disingenuous. I think that that's having a public dispute in private, and Apple's always going to be the bad guy, and they're willing to be the bad guy, and they're smart.
Public dispute in private. So you think that was okay?
Yeah.
Ethically, no. Business wise, you think I feel like it's hoodwinking us, consumers.
But
I'm increasingly convinced, especially today. A lot of this is I'm actively, go watch 30 Miles from Nowhere, guys. You're out there trying to sell a movie, and you can buy a commercial on TV. Nobody watches commercials anywhere. Right. Like, that doesn't actually drive any behavior. The only way you get people's attention
create a controversy
is if you have legit news or an op-ed or controversy.
Wow.
That's the only way. And so, I don't know. I think it was brilliant. I think that it would be damning to either of them if we ever saw that contract. And if the world ever, so it's dangerous for them.
Right. There's a risk.
But because if you ever saw that contract where she's already agreed to do commercials in a year when she writes that op-ed, that's a damning thing. But nobody
you heard
did.
it here first.
Is it though?
Yeah, but I mean, is it even harmful to us in any way?
Us?
Yeah.
Yeah, how is it harmful?
Yeah,
It's-
exactly. I don't
we
see any
become-
harm to
I don't
us.
feel
She made
like-
us aware of an issue we
Wait,
didn't
wait,
know
wait.
about before the op-ed.
But then I feel like it's a case-by-case basis then. Because in that sense, like, I don't think that is harmful, but I can see certain time, like if the like Unplanned, like where they're like immediately being like trying to get themselves banned from Twitter, so there is this news, and then they like still have their propaganda piece that they're like trying to sell to people. Like, I feel like it can also be something that is both good and bad, but it's like it's also the move is like very manipulative to the public. So it's like, is it I guess you could say like it's ethical when you're doing it for the right or wrong reasons, but still like in the Taylor Swift and Apple case, it's like them making money anyway, but it did bring to light an issue. So it's like,
right. I feel like
God is dead. Sorry, what? What? I'm just kidding.
I feel like there's some disillusion that happens. Like you're creating an illusion for consumers that then will drive more money. It'll create more.
Well, Ted clearly saw through it, so he's not being able
Yeah, right.
And to be fair, all of these things are just wild accusations from Ted.
We also completely
no evidence that actually confirms
we
any
were
of this stuff
immediately like,
happened.
oh yeah, that did happen.
Of course,
for
it
sure.
makes sense. Yeah.
Listen, there is a story with the Taylor Swift example. There is a narrative where, in all honesty, Apple Music is trying to launch. They're calling Taylor Swift. They're like, we really want your thing. She's like, yeah, but I'm not really cool with not getting paid for 3 months. And they're like, yeah, but we don't want to pay everybody. And she's like, yeah, but that's not cool. And they're like, you know what? You're right, Taylor, but let's make this beneficial to all of us. Let's do it. Why don't you be the person that publicly tells people this problem, and then we will solve the problem and we'll all benefit.
That couched that way, it feels a little better. Still,
that's how Gunpowder and Sky works. Coming back to the Taylor Swift example.
What's Gunpowder and Sky?
I'm sorry, Gunpowder and Sky is not the name of it. Oh God, what's the name of her machine? Something Machine.
Oh, Taylor Swift?
Yeah, what's
I
her
don't know her
machine?
name of her company. Yeah,
Gunpowder and
I think
Sky
it
is a
might be
totally different distribution. Something
Is it,
Machine.
Diet Pepsi. That's the commercial
man.
I've seen her in.
Let's look that up. Something
I
Machine.
love Kanye because he made me famous.
Anyway, whatever it is, Taylor Swift, she was like backed by her dad, who was a Wall Street guy, put $5 million into building up her brand in this company, something machine or whatever it's called. And that's how Taylor Swift became Taylor Swift. And like that's all this things, like 5-year plays, 2-year moves. We're going to do this today, and in a year we're going to do this. That's how these guys roll. Wagging the dog.
Yep. Yep. Tail wagging the dog. With that,
Silent House Productions.
Nah, before that, she had another music production company or music label. Maybe it's her private label.
Interesting.
I didn't bring my phone today.
This sounds pretty Silent House, though. Sounds like something a Silent House
Silent
would
House.
do.
Keep it on
That's
the
exactly what you'd
DL,
want,
behind
right?
the scenes. Nobody knows.
Big Music Records.
Big music. Big Machine. Look up Big Machine.
Big Machine Records.
Yeah, there you
Never
go.
mind, I can't read.
boom.
That's
Big
it.
Machine Records.
That's what it is.
Congrats, Taylor.
Also, the Taylor Swift thing did work because Apple today just surpassed Spotify as the number one. Paid,
Really?
28 million to 26 million paid subscribers in the U.S.
Wow.
Spotify pays the best if you're an artist.
Oh, is that right?
I think so.
That makes sense why they were probably winning. On that note, congratulations to Apple and congratulations to us. We finished the podcast. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for being here, Skyler, educating us, Ted, Kareem, Yahya, my boys, investment
real.
posse, bust the market cap in your ass. Peace.